Have you ever had a day where nothing seemed special, but by the end of it, you learned something that stayed in your heart forever? Well, today's story is about one kid, one very ordinary day, and three powerful lessons that came together from the Bible, from science, and from life itself. Meet Lucas. To be honest, Lucas wasn't having a great day. He just felt average. He wasn't the best student in his class. He wasn't the fastest runner on the playground. And he certainly didn't feel like the smartest kid in the room. He just felt there. As he sat by the window, looking at the clouds, he wondered quietly to himself, do I even matter? Does anything I do make a difference? What Lucas didn't know was that this very ordinary, kind of gloomy day was about to teach him three unforgettable lessons that would change how he saw everything. It all started that morning. While he was sitting beside his grandmother, she had this calm, gentle way about her. And when she spoke, you couldn't help but listen. She opened up her well-loved Bible and started reading the story of a man named Gideon. Lucas learned that Gideon felt small and weak. He came from the weakest family in his tribe, and he felt like the least important person in his own household when God came to him and called him a mighty warrior. Gideon was confused. He doubted himself. He even asked God, "Are you sure you've got the right guy?" But God's answer was simple and powerful. Go in the strength you have. Lucas paused, thinking about that line. His grandmother smiled at him and said, "See, Lucas, God didn't wait for Gideon to feel big or confident or ready. God believed in him first, just as he was." Something clicked inside Lucas. He thought, so faith isn't about feeling perfect or prepared. It's about trusting that God is with you, even when you feel small. That was the first lesson, and he felt a little bit of the gray cloud over his head start to fade. Later that day at school, in science class, his teacher started talking about the brain. She explained that when we learn something new, or when we struggle to solve a really tricky problem, our brain is actually hard at work. It's forming new pathways, new connections between brain cells called neurons. That feeling of confusion, that uncomfortable moment where you think, I just don't get it, that's not a sign of failure. It's the feeling of your brain literally growing, getting stronger, and rewiring itself. Lucas's eyes went wide. He raised his hand and asked, so, when things feel hard, it means my brain is getting a workout. His teacher beamed. Exactly, Lucas. Struggle is the engine of growth. He sat back in his chair and smiled to himself. All those times he felt frustrated with his math homework or confused by a history lesson, he wasn't failing. He was growing. Suddenly, making mistakes didn't feel so scary anymore. It just felt like part of the process. That was the second lesson. Struggle isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of growth in action. On his walk home from school, Lucas was still thinking about Gideon and growing brains. He was tired, ready to get home and just relax. As he rounded a corner, he saw a younger kid from his school trip and fall, sending a stack of books and papers scattering all over the sidewalk. A few older kids walked right past, not even pausing. For a moment, Lucas hesitated. He was tired. He still didn't feel very important. Who was he to help? But then he remembered Gideon going forward with the strength he had. He remembered that feeling of struggle being a good thing. He took a deep breath, walked over, and knelt down. Hey, let me help you with that, he said. He started gathering the scattered papers. The younger kid looked up, surprised, and then gave a small, grateful smile. Together, they picked everything up in no time. Thanks, the kid said, and Lucas just smiled back. No problem. That was the third lesson, and it might have been the most important one. True strength isn't about being the best or the fastest. It's about choosing to be kind, even when it's easier to just walk by. Even a small action can make a big difference. As Lucas continued his walk home, he felt lighter than he had all day. The world seemed a little brighter. That night, as Lucas lay in bed, he realized something truly powerful. The three lessons of the day all fit together like pieces of a puzzle. Faith teaches us to trust God and believe in our purpose, even when we feel small. Science shows us that our struggles are actually making us stronger and smarter. And our values teach us that kindness is how we use that strength to make the world a better place. When you bring all three together, They don't just teach you things, they shape who you are. The moral of Lucas's story is simple, but it's something we all need to remember. You matter more than you think. Your journey has a purpose. So, trust God. Embrace the moments of struggle as opportunities for growth, and always choose kindness, because that's where your true strength lies. Which of these lessons spoke to you the most today? Was it the idea of faith, the power of growth, or the impact of kindness? Let me know in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to LifeBites TV for more stories that help us all grow together. Thanks for watching.